Colleague John Stemberger with Florida Family Policy Council has been working diligently to pass the Florida Marriage Protection Amendment. Focus on the Family Action is proud to be fully associated with the group, and John joins us from the Sunshine State via webcam. Hi, John.
It's great to be with you, Stuart.
Good to see you again. What's going to be the key to hitting that 60% mark?
Well, the key is going to be, number one, first and foremost, the grassroots and the church awakening and realizing that marriage is not only a precious institution of society, but it's a central focus in Christian theology, and it needs to be preserved for the betterment of children and families and the common good. So grassroots is key. We need to get that kind of a bump that we've seen in other states. We have a 60% hurdle in Florida, which is very unique, and so we have to have a very robust response from churches and pastors all over the state. The second key is really money and finances, and we are unapologetically asking supporters to support us financially. You know, we've been outspent in the 27 other states that have protected marriage. They've been outspent some 4 to 11 times, and they've still prevailed. But we have a unique situation. We believe the vote is going to be extremely close in Florida, and so we need financial resources. And then I think that, you know, that's the key, grassroots response and the financial aspect to educate people. When Floridians are educated and they understand what the issue is about, they will support marriage in overwhelming majorities above 60%.
Kind of watching this from a distance here, seeing how this is playing out, it seems like the opposition campaign wants to talk about anything but marriage. They want to talk about all kinds of other things. That's made your work a lot harder to try to keep this on point and on focus.
Well, that's right. Our opponents, you know, they have lost in 27 states that have protected marriage, and they keep arguing for why homosexual marriage is supposed to be a good idea, and they keep losing. So as you know, in 2006 in Arizona, with very disciplined messaging, they said, we're going to just talk about the fact that this somehow hurts senior citizens. And they stayed on that disciplined message, which is exactly what they're doing in Florida. And they're trying to scare Florida's most precious and vulnerable citizens, our seniors. So we're alerting our seniors all over the state of Florida to be watch out for the scare tactic. It's really utter nonsense, and we've documented all the reasons why it's really a totally fraudulent argument on our website at yes2marriage.org. But, you know, I can't find a gay activist in this state that will debate me straight up on the policy merits of whether or not homosexual marriage is in the best interest of children, family, and the common good of society. They all talk about benefits and scaring seniors and unmarried persons, and they refuse to talk about the policy issue. So they're running a very disciplined campaign of fraud and deception, but we're going to cut through that. We're going to address it briefly and then continue to talk about why marriage is really a beautiful institution which brings the diverse parts of humanity together, man and woman, and life springs forth from that, and the next generation is born, and it is really the essence of what defines the human experience itself.
John, in the state of Florida, you have key minority communities that are going to be important voters in this election. What are you doing to reach out to them, and then what are you hearing from them? Because I would think the message of marriage really resonates with those communities.
Well, that's right. The good news is that marriage, every demographic understands marriage, especially ethnic minorities, Black Americans, Latino Americans, and we are very aggressively opening our arms and going after Latin Americans. I've said this publicly. We don't want Latin American and Black Americans to lead their people. I want them to lead the movement here in Florida. And I'm willing to empower them, to get behind them, to put them up as spokesperson and do whatever we can to show that this is an issue which is not a Republican-Democrat issue. It's not even a liberal-conservative issue. This is a human issue. It's a moral issue, and it's an issue which God speaks with crystal clear clarity in the Scripture.
John, Florida, as always, is going to be a very important state in the presidential election. The Republican nominee, John McCain, says that he supports marriage. Has he said he supports marriage in Florida, and has he helped you at all?
Well, Obama has made references against the amendment, kind of vague references, and McCain has made passing references in support of the amendment. But to be honest with you, Tom, we are not engaging either of those candidates necessarily, because this is a bottom-up campaign. This is not a top-down. We have many elected officials in Florida, from the governor and the U.S. senator, that support the amendment. We also have many elected officials that don't support it. But we are what's going to win this is not politicians. It's going to be the people understanding that they want to define marriage and not activist judges, and they want to empower themselves to see this human institution preserved. So while we have supporters and defectors, that's really not our focus. Our focus is on the people of the state of Florida, educating them on the facts and telling them to vote yes on Amendment 2. It will define marriage as the union of a man and a woman, but it will not prohibit any government entity or even a private company from extending benefits to whoever they want.
John, what's the breadth of the coalition representing grassroots churches in Florida? Have you been satisfied with the various disparate denominations and religious groups coming together on this?
Sure. We have literally hundreds of denominations. The Southern Baptists have been very important and strategic. The Catholic Church has been critical. And we've had pockets of other denominations, but we really need denominational leaders to step up to the plate, to pass resolutions, to send letters to their constituencies and say, hey, we need to, as a church, rise up. You know, our opponents have captured every major institution in society. They've captured the media, they've captured Hollywood, the public educational establishment, the courts. The one institution that stands as a front and a salt and light to a decaying and a dying world is the church. And we can do this. Same-sex marriage is not inevitable. It's something that we can turn the tide if people of common sense, people of good faith and goodwill just stand up and say, we're not here hating anyone, we're not against anyone, we're just for marriage and keeping it the way it's always been. We don't want to do anything new. Most amendments do something new. But Amendment 2 here in Florida does nothing new. It merely protects something that's long-standing, precious, and very beautiful in the culture.
John, before we let you go, I want to give you a minute to talk about your website and tell people how they can get more information.
Sure, I have the gratuitous sign in back of me, but our website is yes2marriage.org. It's a beautiful site. It's loaded with information, videos, flyers, downloads, sample sermons for pastors, voter registration information. You can make a contribution online. You can find out where there's a local group meeting in your area if you want to get involved. You can get a bumper sticker. You can get a yard sign. There's lots of ways you can engage. And we need everybody in this race. Every vote cast in this race, every dollar donated, and every volunteer hour spent is going to make a critical difference because this is going to be so close. We're no stranger in Florida to close elections, and we believe this could be an extraordinarily close race by hundreds or even thousands of votes.
That website again, if you want to visit there, is yes, the numeral 2, marriage.org. John, thanks for sharing with us today.